get into open houses. How many of you do them? Okay, most of you do them. What do you think about them?
Like them?
They're okay. That's what I usually get.
I like
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I get.
They're boring sometimes, but I mean, I like doing them.
All right, I'm gonna show you a way to enjoy them, at the same time get shit done.
Yeah, that's what I normally do. I just normally do other stuff while no one comes in.
How many of you go? Okay, you're one of them, but most people are on their phone, right? Playing Candy Crush or whatever game they're playing.
Hey, making TikToks is a part of my job.
I usually do a video of the house, in some way, you know, either a reel or a post, or both. And then, typically I have the subdivision's numbers and I'm calling the subdivision while I'm there.
You're working while you're there. That's important. That's what I'm getting at. You should be working your business if no one's coming in. What are you working on now, right? Working on the next thing. But you want how not to do an open house? Take a Saturday and drive around and go to them. You'll be surprised
That's what I
how
do.
bad some of them are.
Or after my open house, I'll go and I'll see a sign and I'll go stop by and see what they're doing.
Yeah, see what they're doing. You'll see some good ones and you're gonna see some ones, oh, yeah. I mean, literally, there's been someone with a football game on with their shoes off, their feet up on the coffee table, flyers on the desk. You know, if you got any questions, I'm right here.
Oh.
I'm like, wow.
Low pressure sale.
I went to an open,
Thanks for that.
went to an open house, okay, just turned into the open house, okay, and the owners were there. They said, "You're the realtor." The lady said to me, "No, my realtor takes off on pieces."
No way.
Oh, good God.
There's a lot of people that I've noticed that.
That's how
I
you
come to the
now.
open house and be like, my realtor doesn't work on the weekend,
Yeah.
so I'm just looking.
Well, I'm gonna share with you some things I do. I mentioned I did 27 transactions in 8 months. And, you know, I started this class off with talking about relationships, right? So open house is no different. It's all about making the relationship. How many of you think you should sell the house? Only if they're interested, right?
Rule number one.
Yeah, I've only been one that actually pre-qualified the person right there. And I was a lender at the time.
Yeah, I've done that.
And I pre-qualified them right there. Now they love the house, great. And oh, you're a lender? Oh, boom, yo, you're pre-approved, you're ready to go. They were like 740 FICO was like.
I did that once, but they didn't qualify.
Yeah.
I did it, that shocker, a little.
Point, yeah.
Get accepted.
But that's the point. Point is, most people that come through an open house aren't really interested in that house. They're just looking, right? So the goal is to build a relationship from the time they walk in the door to the time they leave. Now, I'm going to share with you what I do. What I learned when I first started doing open houses. I literally had two. In fact, Jacqueline just talked about my Bears chairs. I had my two camping chairs that were Bears. I had 32-ounce Pepsi and like 25 flyers. And I would tackle you if you came through that. Literally, you come through that door and I'd almost be holding onto your leg. No, you can't leave. You're going to buy this house. You're going to buy a house and you're going to use me as a realtor. I scare the shit out of people. Like, oh man, hey, I'm so glad you're here. This house is amazing. You got to check this out. Here's a flyer for you. You'd be like, whoa, not even in the door yet. You know, what's going on? But I learned because I was so desperate. I mean, when you first saw me, you're like, oh, this guy's desperate. This guy's just looking for money. And so I started asking questions. I started figuring out. I started going to people that were doing a lot of open houses and having success. Started asking them. And I went from that, from scaring people to actually a full-on production. So here's what I do, okay? So first, let's talk about what you're going to bring before I share with you how I set it up. So, and I'm going to save time by not writing on the board, but you're going to bring two types of flyers, okay? You're going to bring a custom flyer. Now on that custom flyer, there's 3 important things that need to be on it. Okay? 1, your website. 2, your mobile app, which by the way, how many of you heard about our new custom mobile app?
Yeah.
Guys, no kidding, it's badass. It's like having your own pocket Zillow. It is. It's awesome. I mean, if you know, I know you will send some information out, but I share that with you because not that I've gotten business from it, but I got business because I had it. And it was nowhere near as good as what this thing does. This thing does everything Zillow does and more.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have a class on it, but I didn't even have that kind of mobile app. I just had a basic mobile app and I got business because I had it. So that's the second thing that goes on there. And the third thing that goes on there is to find out what your home's worth. Every one of your open house flyers should have a link to find out what their home's worth. Because they're not just buyers that come through that door, right?
Mhm.
And I'm gonna share with you
A lot of
another
times they're
thing
like
that I do.
neighbors
Why
or
I have
something
that on,
like
huh?
A lot of times they're like neighbors.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually door knock with that flyer to invite all the neighbors the day before. I'll take 50 flyers, did 50 homes and invite all 50 people. Okay, so second flyer is gonna be the MLS sheet, the client version, and I usually have about 15, 20 copies of that. Why would I do that?
So
For
people
looking
have
to
the
come,
details.
wanna just look at the information.
Yeah, some people want to know more about that area, right? So they can walk away with that. There's a lot of people I've had coming over and says, I've been looking to buy in this area. So I'll hand them that one too, because it'll have HOA, it'll have stuff on there,
Yeah.
more details. I don't give them private one. I have a private one with me. One, because any information I need to know, I've got that with me. Two types of flyers, okay? I bring water. You can bring food if you want, but I always bring water. And in the summer, I'll put it in a cooler with ice. I mean, the fridge is good too if you want to drop it off before, while you're setting up your sign, so it has enough time to get cold,
And what is it?
right? You need at least 12 to 15 minutes or something for it to get cold, but in the summer, I'll just put it in the cooler with ice and I'll just, right on, just take one. You know, so I do a whole production now, but you need water. I bring a speaker for ambiance, okay? And then I bring mortgage flyers. This is very important, very important. I cannot tell you how many deals I've gotten because I had that information and I knew about it. Not just here's the mortgage person's name and number. Give you an example. I used to train a lot of people in open houses because I was doing so well at them. People say, hey, can I go to an open house with you? I want to learn what you're doing. I can't tell you how many people I've done that for. And so in this particular instance, she was doing a great job. I always say there's a tour. I do a tour, right? How many of you do that? Yeah.
Like
Okay.
walk them around the
And
house.
the secret to a tour is you end up at the best part of the house, not start at the best part of the house. End up at the best part of the house. That's a tip for you. Okay. So I walk the house in the beginning, like much like you take the video. And when you take a video of open house, should you do the whole house in the video?
No.
Probably one or two of the best places of the house to say, hey, come check out this house, because now you want them to come and see it, right? So you check out the house. Anyway, she was taking them through the tour. We ended up, the best place was the backyard. It was really nicely done, great for families, all that stuff. So we ended up back there and she said, hey, I really enjoyed talking with you guys and learning about you guys. I would love to be your realtor. Would love to help you find your home. They said, well, we really like you too. And yeah, we would love to use you as our realtor. She said, great. Well, I'll give you my card. They said, well, we're not ready for 3 months, 3 months. 3 months, we're saving money for a down payment. And she goes, great, here's my card. I'll stay in touch with you. So when you're ready, I'm ready to take you out and show you homes. Now I said, actually, have you guys heard of the Home in 5? Or Home Plus, whatever it's called now, right? The down payment assistance program. Because I have those flyers there for her. And I said, hey, have you guys ever heard of that? He said, no, what's that? And I said, well, at the time you needed a 620 FICO score. A couple other things, I can't remember what they are, but you need a 620 FICO, and to say yes to 3 things, then you could call the lender. And then the lender would take you through it and then get you qualified on it. Right? And they said yes to all 3 of those things.
Some form of income.
But I had to be under 271 at the time, under 271, 620 FICO and something else. But anyway, they said yes to all 3. And I said, okay, we'll call your lender and your lender can take you through the program and see if you qualify, because the money doesn't have to be repaid. And that money you've been saving, you can use for furniture or whatever else. And guess what? Took her card. They said, that's a great idea. Called their lender, called her back and said, we're ready to buy. You see why that's important? Yeah, so you need to know those programs. How many of you meet with your lender on a regular basis?
I talk to them like every
Half
week.
of you.
You don't meet with him personally, but like,
I don't care if it's on the phone, in person's even better, break bread with them, break bread and say, tell me what's going on, what do I need to know, what do you guys got, what, learn about the programs. I had the edge because I was in LO before, so that's helped me get so much business because I understood what they had to go through, what it took to qualify. I knew about the programs. How many of you ever heard of an asset-based program?
Asset base?
Asset-based, yeah. Well, all those 1099 people that own companies, especially the ones that own companies.
write everything off.
Yeah, I mean, they own companies, they write everything off. They can't qualify for the, $1 million house because they only pay themselves 125 grand. So you need to know about these things. And so that's why you can say, hey, I have a lender that knows these products that can help you get into a home, right? So you need to know that. But that's why mortgage flyers are important. You need to have that out there. Even better if you can have your mortgage lender do the open house with you. When I was a lender, I used to do that all the time. Especially before I got really busy.
Like, there's two ways to do that. You're talking about a bank statement loan?
That's different. Talking about like if they have a IRA or
Yeah.
yeah.
Or you could do a trust.
Yep.
And then you could set the asset in there, then pay it down. So you have somebody who's self-employed, you can do both.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
could do the bank statement.
And not many people know about that.
Yeah.
But it's important to know about that because a lot of people say, well, I can't really buy right now. Well, it's because of, it's a situation, my lender's really good.
Right.
There's all these programs that are available to help you. So you should know what they are. I can't tell you how many deals I got just because I knew that stuff. So mortgage flyers are important. All right, let's get into some really cool stuff now. So how many of you bring other properties that are for sale in the neighborhood?
Comps?
Every single one of you.
Comps? Yeah,
Yeah, but active in that neighborhood, right?
absolutely.
Where do you guys put them?
The front counter. Right by
Front
the
counter,
kitchen.
or the kitchen counter, right?
Yep,
Guess where I put them?
front door,
On the wall.
on the wall, that's a good place too.
Why do I do that?
So they can walk by
So they're
and
seeing it.
easily.
People are curious by nature. You wanna know what the secret is to stay engaged with these people when they come through the door? I create 5, what's this? So I'll put tops up on the wall. I'll put stuff in the kitchen counter. I've got 2 tables like this, full of stuff. 2 stuff with a table like this, and it's full of active, pending, closed. I have an Altos report there. How many know what an Altos report is? None of you. Wow,
Is it?
That's.
it's a market snapshot of what is going on, and that's in the
Oh.
zip code.
Oh,
You could have just said market snapshot. I was like, what's an Altos report? I don't know.
Well,
yeah, we have.
it's been around for a long time. You can get it from the title company. So you can now do it from the MLS too. So the MLS has a section that you go in there and do that. But how many of you do open houses all over the valley? Just a couple of you. Some of you don't because you probably figure I don't really know the area, right?
I normally do them. I used to do them all over the place, and then I realized no one ever shows up to these ones, and I get way more at certain
I'll
places.
tell you how to find those.
So then I started doing them at specific places, and then like being more strategic, picking specific open houses than doing like just any of them.
I'll tell you why I did them everywhere. One, I was freaking hungry, starving. I didn't have any money, and I needed to build my business. So I didn't want to just do it Mesa where I lived. I wanted to know the valley, so I did it all over. And I got, by the way, I didn't just do any open house either. I can share with you how I find them. And it's important that you do it that way. Now, we're growing as a company, so we're getting more and more listings. I think we have 50 something listings out there, so we're getting more and more. But that doesn't mean you can't find one and ask that broker for permission to do it. Okay. But I did them all over until I built my business, I built my pipeline, then I just start referring stuff so that someone else could pay me to go close that deal while I was building in the area I wanted to be in. But I had no problem doing it. I took a listing in Peoria. I won the listing over 4 or 5 other agents. Actually, Jacqueline was there with me actually. And so we were at the listing, won the listing over everybody else. And then they were moving from Peoria to Maricopa. not Maricopa County, Maricopa, right? And so when they asked, like, well, you know, we were thinking of maybe asking you to be our realtor on the buy side, but we don't know if you know Maricopa. And I'm like, I gotta tell you the story.
I know everywhere.
So 4 weeks before that, I got a referral from someone that didn't want to go to Maricopa, and I'm like, I'll do it. I'll make the money. I'll pay your referral fee, no problem. So I literally spent 4 days in Maricopa, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I spent out there. I must have showed
At the
over
casino,
60 houses.
you're at the casino, weren't you? I've seen you there.
Oh, you see me there? Well, here's the funny part. Not only did I show 60 houses, they made me tape measure every room, the entire house, the backyard. I had to tape measure with the husband and write all these numbers down. Every single house. We tape measured everything. Only to be told after the 4th day of showing you and spending all that money going out there to say, you know, we're gonna wait. And inside I'm like,
Yeah.
right? I was like, oh my God.
Closet.
Yeah.
And at first I was like, what the heck is going on here? And I'm like all pissed off about it. Fast forward 4 weeks. And they said, well, if you know Maricopa, we'd love to use you. I'm like the back of my hand. I mean, I was sitting there talking about all the subdivisions down there, and they're like, oh, wow, you really do know Maricopa. And I'm like, yeah. Well, guess what? I got the listing and the buy.
Nice, double hit.
So I had no problem doing business anywhere, you know. And of course, as I got a higher producer, I started dialing it in, and you can do that too. Don't be afraid to do that. That market snapshot is a great way to know a lot of information in a short time. You can do Google for the rest of it, what's in the area, but you can know how fast the homes are selling, what the average price is, all that stuff between low end and high end, all of that in that market snapshot. You could talk intelligently. When I was at that listing, they thought I lived there. And I spent maybe a half hour pulling the data I needed to remember it, to talk about it.
Yeah,
And I lived in the East Valley, Northeast Valley.
that's what I do whenever someone's like, oh, do you work in like Goodyear or Avondale? I'm like, yes, of course. I know all the places over there. I'm like looking at the map. I'm like, yeah, okay, let's head over there and go look at some stuff.
I don't go that far. I have no problem telling them I live in Northeast Mesa, because I tell them that I do business everywhere.
I tell them I live in Santan, but I'm like, yeah, I work over there all the time.
Yeah. So that's a great way to be really now. The game's different because technology is so good now. You can get so much information in short time. So you can be knowledgeable about that area.
What do they say, Mike? You're licensed in the state of Arizona.
Say that again?
You're licensed
Oh,
in the state of Arizona. So I've gone to Selectman, Wickenburg, and drive up. I'm gonna see where my property is, see where their property is. I'll list it. I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
That's
especially now,
even joining the MLS there because of it might be a good enough deal.
that's
You know?
the one we have in MLS.
I
Right
will tell you, make sure that you do have membership to an MLS when you are out of your county, because that other agent is not required to pay you.
You call them ahead of time and just, if you don't want to join the board, I think it's that you call them ahead of time and ask them if they have a problem, and then you
Good
join the
advice,
board.
yes.
the
Yeah,
board
I-
first.
Thank you for sharing that.
Sure.
Yeah, awesome.
And get it in writing. It's an email right away.
Everything's
Yeah.
in writing.
Yeah.
So these are things you want to have all over the place. Okay, and I create so many opportunities. Now, do they always have to ask me, what's this? No. Because the moment they walk up to that table is an opportunity for me to go over and explain what all the information is. When they go to the next thing, I can explain what that is. The other thing that's very important is how many of you look for bodily clues?
Mhm.
Good.
Psychology.
I'll share with you. Yeah, it's important. I was training 2 agents. In fact, it was Jacqueline when we first started, and her friend Kimberly at the time, and they were both in the open house. And there was this oblong room, and the guy was doing this. But it was vacant house.
Put his furniture in there.
Looking at the room like this,
Yeah.
and I'm like, get in there. You know, not out loud. I'm like, and they're like, what? He's just standing there. I'm like, he's got a question. And I walk up and I said, hey, it's kind of a weird room, right? He's like, yeah, what would you do with this room? And I'm like, do you like to entertain? He said, yeah. I'm like, you know what I would do, man? I would put a little bar right here, I put an ice maker right here, I put a big 75-inch TV right here, I put like a big sectional, I like started to paint the picture.
Yeah.
He said, oh yeah, that sounds cool. You know what's funny is I asked him if he wanted a tour when he came in with his wife, and they said no. Guess what he said to me after I did that? You know
You
what?
show me the rest of the house.
We'll take that tour. So fantastic. They also said they had a realtor they were working with. So by the end of the tour, we were in the back in-law suite and we were sitting there chatting and they said, you know, you really know a lot about this. I mean, you're versed in the loan side. And I said, yeah, I used to be a loan officer. And they said, wow, you're really knowledgeable. And they said, you know, can you give us a minute? And I said, yeah. So I walked back into the kitchen and they come walking in and they said, you know what? We talked it over. We want to use you as our realtor. What was my first question?
Did you sign a contract?
You sign a buyer broker agreement? Because I won't touch them if they do. They say they're working with an agent, even if they say they're working with an agent, I won't touch them. I don't try to force them to work with me.
Yeah.
I'll always say, hey, refer to your agent. I'm sure he's a great agent and this is information you can get from them. If not, you know, let me know, you know. I'm here to help, but I don't try to steal an agent. I mean a client.
Yeah.
I won't do it. Ethics violation, so don't do it. And you definitely don't want to get that call from that broker. Right? So don't do it. Place. So I have a lot of stuff out there, you guys. So you can be creative about certain things if you want. If you want, you know, like games for the kids or Legos or something. I don't know if I do that now because of COVID and all that stuff, but there's different ideas and things. I know people that put stuff up in the bathrooms even, you know, say, hey, ask me how you get a free home warranty, right? You know, or something like that.
I definitely put like.
Be careful
flyers
about offering money. Get approved from the designated broker if you're gonna do something like that, because if you're gonna offer something for one, you have to offer it for all. Okay, so you gotta be very, very touchy about money. I didn't really ever really do that part. I just had all kinds of stuff. I had a listing book in the kitchen, and you know, people that's you know what that is? How many of you know what that is? Yeah, listing book. So I don't let them take that, by the way. I have buyer guides and seller guides, which you can get from the title companies. Those are free. So just let them know how many you need. I put buyer guides, seller guides out there, the Altos report or the market snapshot. And then I have mortgage flyers. I have my flyers. I have my business cards, the mortgage business cards. I have a speaker out there for ambiance. I have water out there. I have the stuff on the wall. Everything is.
Can you do a prize wheel?
What's that?
Like a little prize wheel, like if they play?
Yeah, you can do something like that. Hey, sign in and
You can play games, you can have some cornhole
bid
set
for a
up,
gift
you know.
card. You can do stuff like
Whatever you
that.
want.
You know, yeah, sign up and then.
Cornhole, let me be at that open house.
So
All right, next weekend.
now I got it all set up. I have everything set up. And this is how I put the tables in. I have everything set up now. The one of the tables I have positioned so that I can see the front door and I can see out the windows. Especially when it starts getting nice right now, I'll have the door wide open. And I'll put it on the door, please come in, right? So I have it positioned because if the car pulls up to the curb, I am never sitting. I'm never sitting when they walk in. I am standing up and I will greet them at the door. I don't tackle them anymore. Freak them out anymore. I'm not shoving a flyer in their face, but I will go up and greet them. Almost. And I would go up and greet them and say, hey, thanks so much for coming to the open house. Now, here's an important thing for you to do. This mental recorder needs to turn on. You are going to remember everything that happens with them. Do your best.
That's my worst part.
You're gonna put everything you can remember. Not talking, when I go up to the, why did I go up the door? Not just to be nice to greet them, because I'm looking at their car, the kind of car it is. Is there anybody in the car? Is there a dog in the car? I'm looking for anything that I can use to make the next conversation with them even better. How are their kids dressed? I'll give you an example. A couple came in, they had two little boys, and they were dressed up in soccer uniforms. They had time to kill. They were on their way to a game, and they thought, oh, we're early. So they, oh, let's stop in the open house, and they did. I remember the kids. Now, here's the important thing when they have kids. Guess what? I acknowledged the kids. I didn't just say hi to mom and dad. Say, oh man, you guys are back going to a soccer game. They're like, yeah. I'm like, what position you play? You know? Oh, that's cool. You gonna score a goal today? Yeah, okay, cool, man. Well, thanks for coming in, you know? And then I go into whatever it's doing. But it's important to start remembering that because they left, they gave me their information. I called them the next day. And I said, hey, what do you think the first thing I asked them was?
Oh,
Game go.
How'd the game go? Kids win? They score a goal? I'm like, yeah, actually they did. And one of the boys scored a goal, right? I'm like, oh, that's cool, man. Hey, the reason for our call is I just want to make sure you got the email that you can log into the website. If you have any issues, any problems, any questions, I'm here for you. That's it. And then, of course, my 14-day aggressive open house campaign went into effect. But anyway, so your recorder goes on, you remember everything because follow up is gonna be one of the most important things. I'll get into that in a minute, but so now when they come in, I don't have anything in my hands, and this is when I ask them if they want a tour. Would you like a tour of the home? Whether they say yes or no, doesn't matter. I'm gonna go and get my custom flyer, right? And my feedback form. So a feedback form is something that's really, really important. We have one, in fact, the title company. I created it for my last training company that I had at my other company. Title company liked it so much that they now give it to people. They just started giving it out to people. So they actually helped me create it too. So anyway, I come back. So they say yes, I'd like a tour, or no, I'd like a tour. They say yes, I come back and say, okay, here's our feedback form. We would really appreciate you giving us your opinion on the home. We'd love to know. We're trying to provide as much information to the seller as we can about the home. We'd love your opinion. And that's what I'd ask. Now, the feedback form is important. Don't have one that flips. They all need to be on the same page. Because if you have the one that just had their, questions about the home, they're not, and the other side is their name, they're not going to do that part. They're going to just fill out that part. But for some reason, if it's on the same page, then I put it on a clipboard. Any reason? Want to know why I do that?
Because they feel special and important.
Well, especially for some reason, they fill it out.
It's just a tough kind of tour, like if they don't want a tour, and I give them the feedback card or whatever, like the sellers would appreciate your feedback.
Yeah.
Here's a little homework for you while you're walking the house,
Yeah,
and then they end up putting their name on it anyway.
I know, right? And for some reason, that clipboard makes them fill it out. I don't know what it is, but they fill it out.
Maybe it's because like if they just have the form and they're walking around, they're like, where am I supposed to fill this out at?
When I'm showing
So
them,
they end up not filling it out.
Yeah, or the guest registry, remember those? Remember the title companies used to have that sign-in registry, right? I used to fill those books up, but for some reason, and I got that from a friend that actually taught me that, because I always had the guest registry, and I always did a pretty good job of getting the information, but he said, man, try the clipboard thing, it's crazy. You just fill it out. I don't know what it is. And I'll have 3 of you, because believe me, I've had open house where I had 30 people and it was just me. So I was like handing clipboards and changing clipboards, and that was fun, man, right? I mean, that's a busy day. But so I hand them that, and then if I'm giving them the tour, now guys, I don't care if it's 1,000 square feet, I still offer a tour. I might go, there's a kitchen.
It's a studio apartment. You're like, well, over here.
Yeah,
You're right.
But I still do it. I didn't really do that, but I did walk over here. So we walked 5 feet here.
Yeah.
There's a bathroom.
You're in. But I do the tour. And the important thing about the tour is end up at the best part of the house last. Right? The other thing about the tour is don't just go, here's the master bedroom. Okay, let's go down the hallway and here, you know what I mean? You should know stuff about the house. You should also be funny, right? I told that story to you guys when the guy walked in I'm a Bears fan, by the way, from Chicago. So, and the guy walked in with a Green Bay Packers shirt on, and I said, you can't come in. He said, what do you mean I can't come in? And I pointed at his shirt, you can't come in. And he goes, oh, you're a Bears fan. And I said, I am. I said, I'm not a Packer hater. I said, I love the rivalry. You can come in.
Just don't want you to come in here.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers there.
But we hit it off. Right from there, and then he saw a Cowboy sticker on the back slider. He's like, oh, maybe I don't want to come in. I freaking hate the Cowboys. So, but we hit it off, and it was that much easier just to talk with him the whole time. And even if I didn't get a deal, I did get the information and I started the relationship. That's the most important part of what you're doing, is to connect and start building a relationship, because they might not be ready to buy now. I'm gonna show you a really powerful thing here. I'm gonna draw it on the board, but you are putting them in the pipeline. Now, how many agents do you think, when someone says, I'm not ready for 2 years, how many agents do you think forget about them?
All of them except me.
99%.
I pull up my people.
Most of them,
I-
not us, right?
No, not
But
us.
most of them or go on to find their commission. That's what most agents do. Most agents chase commissions. They don't build a business. They chase the deal every month. They're looking for that deal to close every month. So they're not gonna pay much attention to that person. They might send one thing, hey, thanks for coming, but they don't stay in touch with that person. True story, I did an open house. Kids came in and their parents lived in London. Our parents would love this house. Matt, they're in town. We're gonna go get them. They went and got the parents, came back. They spent 3.5 hours at my open house. Going between me and meeting people, they were asking me all kinds of questions. I felt like they were family by the time I got done. And I thought, cha-ching, right? I really felt like that because they were like, you just love this house. And then I was thinking, oh, they're gonna write an offer, man. I'm gonna get that deal that I'm gonna get the deal that I'm working the open house. Didn't happen. Guess what they said? Really love the house, but I'm like, oh shit. Here's the but. We gotta sell our house in London. So we gotta do that first. But we love you and you could be our realtor. Fantastic. I didn't hear from them for an entire year. But I never gave up. I did my 14-day aggressive open house follow-up campaign, and then I personally reached out to them once a month, and I said something once a month. Not one thing the entire year other than I saw them open up my portal searches. I saw them open up the emails, but I kept doing it. Almost exactly a year later, a little over a year later, I get an email. Hey, do you remember us? I'm like, I sure do. They said, we're ready. So I was like, okay. I said, I explained the market. We got on a phone call. I explained the market because they were still in London. They were waiting the finalization of the sale of the house. And they said, and I explained the market, and they're like, oh, it's a pretty busy market. I said, yeah. I mean, some stuff's even going sight unseen, like people writing offers without even looking at the property. They said, well, our kids are available, so we like this property and this property. Can you go take them and we'll FaceTime with them? So I literally took the kids, they FaceTime with their parents and walked every inch of the house, the yard and all that stuff. We ended up writing an offer on one. I got a $355,000 cash buy. At the time, it was one of my highest deals. It was weird because most of my deals were between 220 and 275, maybe 300, but 375 of them, or 355 at the time was my highest one at the time. But anyway, wrote the offer. Then I did a 15-day inspection period instead of a 10 because they were flying in, and I got the agent on the other side to agree to do 15 days so they could just be there. They could walk the house. I wanted them to walk the house, not just completely be off FaceTime. So they came in, they loved it, they bought the house. Then they gave me another house to list, and after we were gonna sell that one, they were gonna give me another one. So I nearly got $1 million business because I did what?
Oh,
Followed up, man. I stayed in touch, relentless about that.
Right.
So I do the tour. I go through the what's this stuff, you guys. That is the best thing. Build a rapport, build a relationship, get their information with the feedback form. Okay. Once you get that, now follow up is the most important thing. In Chime, how many of you have Chime? Almost all of you. In Chime is a 14 open house follow-up campaign. Okay, go in there, make it sound like you. It's effective, it works. If there's things that you want to add it. Not, that's okay too. We've got a few minutes, so I'm going to wrap it up with a few things, okay? So number one, you better be following up, okay? You better be using that database system like we talked about in the beginning, but how many of you know what your conversion rate is in open houses? Sure, you've been doing them for a while. How do you track what you're doing? Not one, maybe
I track.
you track. So what's your average people through an open house?
Now, I mean, like recently, probably like 1, 2 on average
So I track
per day, like, you know.
4, mine's 5 to 8. So it depends, but that's usually where it lands, somewhere in between there, 5 to 8 through. I've had 0, but I've had as many as 30, more than 30.
Open houses, like, you know, people do 5 days a week. Do you do the same open house?
No,
Do you-
great question. Oh, let me go back to, are you okay for a few more minutes?
Yeah.
Okay, because here's how I find an open house. I will go through the company listings. I will look for vacant first. Okay. And then I look, here's what I do. When I find the one in my area, let's say it's Mesa, right? And it's vacant. I will open it up and I will look at the map. Where that house is, how many turns to that house? That's important. If there's 8 turns to the house, and you only have 10 signs, it's gonna be really hard to get a lot of traffic there.
Yeah.
If it is, you're gonna have to come in and get more open house signs, so you can have like 25 signs to make sure you can get people there, right? We do, we're ordering more. Yeah, we just ordered some more, so, that matters. If it's 3 turns to the house, then I know I got plenty of signs to hit the 2 most so if this is the intersection. I'm gonna hit, if the house is here, 2 turns, and this is the house. I'm gonna hit the 2 intersections closest to the property.
I'm so confused. Like, what is that? That makes sense.
So,
I got
fast, but
I
it's
was like, what?
it's quick, I would normally draw better, but if this is the house and it's 2 turns to the house, I'm gonna hit the 2 intersections closest to the property. And I'm gonna try to use 20 signs, okay? All right, now, vacant in that area, look at the map, how many turns, so I know how to place my open house signs. And then I use at least 20 signs. I will door knock that for that open house the day before, and I'll hit 50 homes and invite everybody to it. There's another thing you can do. Let's say you had a successful open house and you had 4 potential buyers in that open house. You could take those same flyers instead of door knocking before, door knock after, and go to all the neighbors and say, I just had an amazing open house down the street from you, and I have 4 potential buyers that are looking in this area. Are you thinking of selling? Might get some listing appointments that way, right? So I know I got an agent that does it that way. I do it before, I don't do it after, but I thought that was a good idea. So that's how I find one. Okay. You should circle prospect that open house too beforehand. You should also go to social media 5 days before, 3 days before, 1 day before, and let the world know you're having an open house. Then do a targeted ad in that zip code to let everybody know in that area, in that zip code, that you're having an open house.
That's what I normally do is I'll do ads beforehand.
Involve massive traffic. Now, before you go, I want to leave you with something. Because I got my conversion rate, track your conversion rate. I got mine down to 1 in 34. Every 34 people I talk to, I close the transaction. So I couldn't wait to meet the next person come through my open house. So track your numbers. Your numbers will be different. That's okay. But once you figure out what it is, it's a lot more exciting to have open houses. All right, well, that puts us a little bit over. You have any questions?
Or question before, how somebody get up to 5 open houses?
Say again,
Where you finding 5
where do you find them?
open
I go through the company listings first. So if there's nothing in there that's gonna work for me, I'm gonna scour the MLS. I created my own portal search for certain areas that I liked. So if I liked, for example, how many of you live in the East Valley? 85215 Red Mountain Ranch. Anybody ever do open houses in there? Every time I've ever done an open house, I have no less than 5 people come through. Every time. So I always try to do that area because and that's where I live actually. So, but that area, that zip code, 85205 is good. 85209 is specifically Augusta Ranch is really good. I've gotten a lot of people come through there. So there's different areas, Dunham and Chandler, Gilbert. If you're looking for certain zip codes, then you're gonna have to see where it's listed, call that broker. You get broker approval, not agent approval. broker
And
approval.
what I would do is not only do like the office ones, obviously, but like I would literally just go on the MLS and see what didn't have open houses scheduled. And then I would just literally call the agent and say, hey, my name's Evo, blah, 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 I'm an agent, I'm new or whatever. Or I would just say, I'm willing to do a free open house for you, since you don't have one scheduled this weekend. If we can get as long as your broker says it's okay and you guys can send me an email, then I'll do the open house, on Saturday at whatever time.
Yeah.
A lot of times, most agents have never had that happen, or someone called them and they're like, I don't know if we can do that. And then I just go, well, yeah, just check with your broker, send me an email, and then we'll make sure we're good.
Yeah,
and then-
great ad there, because if you get the email, you have written permission.
Yeah, I normally do an email, yeah. And then, once they confirm it, some people will be like, yeah, no, we don't do that, which is fine. And I just keep calling until I find out.
Don't be afraid to do one that's, like, if you see one that's got really good traffic area and it's, or an open house has been done on it, but it's open for you to do it, I'll still do it. Because you never know, you just never know the traffic in that area. If there's good high traffic area, good cross streets, I'll do it. And I always put out more signs than most agents do. I'll put out 25 signs. And then other people are putting out 10.
Just not in Scottsdale. It's.
Right, Scottsdale
more
and
than
Shannon.
I was gonna say, isn't there?
Yeah, you
An
gotta
allotment?
check with city or.
Oh, there's a rule.
It's a rule,
They'll limit the numbers.
I didn't know that.
and it's on your test for your continuing education.
And
How many signs you can put out?
Yeah.
Well, and if you're doing a 55 and over community, sometimes they don't allow them at all.
Oh, I did this.
At all,
I
right?
did
You have
one
to
and
do the
they
flyer.
took my signs down. They were like, yeah, you can't do that.
But when I would do those open houses? Between November and April, I would do 55 plus.
It drops it a lot of times.
People are always checking. That's another place that I always get people coming through.
I don't know.
They concern the
Which has it.
I did it with Trilogy, and I always had at least 5 or 6 people come through.
They're looking to buy because they're here
The
visiting.
other ones.
Yeah, but here. And here's the thing about that, for 55 plus, in November, they're not doing much business, right? They're settling into the holidays. But between January and April is when they're really doing most of their business. And in fact, do most of their business between March and April. So if you're working with them in that time, you should end up with something with them by then.
They're not.
But that's another thing. There's seasonal stuff that I will do. So I'm not afraid to do 55 plus when it's their season. And then of course it's summer, I don't.
Those are some of the busiest open houses you get too.
They have nothing to
All
do.
the, you'll get a ton of neighbors. Just
No,
ready.
absolutely.
They're all never.
So I'd like some feedback, if you don't mind. What do you guys think of the class?
I
Good.
really like.
Worth it?
Like, one thing worth mentioning is safety. A lot of people don't really think too much about it, but you're in a house by yourself that's vacant.
Yeah.
Be a little dangerous.
Yeah, that's a good point. Well, I usually go through safety. I just didn't have enough time. So real quickly, safety, just, have everything unlocked. Right? The other thing is never let them go. You go in the room first. You always motion them to go into the room. You stay in the hallway. No reason to go in the bedrooms and that with them. Bring someone. That's another thing it could be your significant other. It can be a teenager. It can
What if
be,
it's like the primary suite and it's large? Do you go in that one or no?
what's that?
Well, you're saying you don't follow your people into bedrooms at all?
No, I stay in the hallway. I'm a little bit fearless though. I mean, I feel like I can handle my stuff, but that doesn't mean I couldn't get hurt. But I never go first. I'll tell them to go in and I might stand just inside the door. But I'm telling you though, you shouldn't. And if it's vacant and there's a second floor, there's no reason for you to go upstairs with them. You can let them go up and look around. They got questions, you have questions. Now, again, I did a lot of training, so I had a lot of people, and Jacqueline and I would do it together a lot because we closed. Her and I, one time, we had full-time jobs, meaning our real estate jobs, like I was doing business development and she was out managing a team. We did 7 open houses, closed 4 transactions. Isn't that crazy? It seems like every time we do.
My only listing last year was sold with a 7-hour open house.
Yeah,
I could only
Well-
kick my sellers out one weekend, and so I literally said, okay, you need to leave for the whole weekend then, and I'm gonna be here all Saturday and Sunday and this.
but now in normal times, I would definitely either have someone with you or be safe. If you are by yourself, I know a lot of people that let people know, they go the neighbor to the right, neighbor to the left and say, hey, I'm having an open house, keep an eye out just in case. People will put FaceTime with someone So while they're there, their significant others on the phone, they hear everything that's going on. There's other things, you know, for women, don't bring your purse inside. Just bring your essentials, lock your purse in the trunk. Don't leave it in the car. Put it in
I
the
have
trunk,
maids
lock
that
it.
have got
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I'm just saying, I wouldn't bring your purse
Attractive
inside.
under you.
Right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
safety is important. I do recommend. Here's another reason I like doing them with other people. Especially with Jack, when we were telling you guys that we could tell who was gravitating to the other. Because 50% of something is better than 50% of nothing, right? And so there's a lot of times that we got deals because they liked me or they liked her. And so we would just play off that and then we would close the deal. But if it would have been just me in the case they didn't like me, I wouldn't have got it. They would have left. They would have walked out. They would have used someone else. So
Same
keeping
on
up
a
with
listing
someone is,
appointment.
it could be a powerful thing.
Same thing on a listing appointment.
Yeah,
Why you go by yourself, I don't know. I take a female, someone that they could attract to, or if they're like they hit on like me better than her, fine. I'm gonna do the deal. I'll talk to the people.
absolutely.
If they feel better with her, let her handle it. I'm gonna go take pictures. Boom, boom.
Yeah, just be
bada
careful.
bing, bada boom.
If you think something's up, but it probably is, you know what I mean? If your gut is going off, your gut alarms are going off, then do the right thing. Get out of there. It's better for you to just leave the house and then go call for support, help, right? So don't ever, I mean, there was a realtor one time that was in the house, a guy came in, I was a gentleman, came in and he actually locked the door behind him. And she went nuts. She called on and screamed and that guy freaked out and ran out. But she wasn't gonna have it. And then they went out, but the other doors were unlocked, so she could easily just went out the back door and got
I
out.
always leave myself out.
But I always,
You would have shot him, right?
I mean, that's why I even unlock, I even tell people to unlock the window.
Drag them in.
But just make sure you lock everything back up after you make sure everything is locked back up when you leave. So safety is really critical. I encourage you to do it with somebody. I mean, it does help. I mean, I get it if you want to get the deal, but if you're gonna do that, you know, bring your husband, bring your significant other, bring somebody that can dial or help, right? So, and I'm fine with teenagers because they know how to dial 911. They know how to do it. Most people aren't gonna do that. Do something stupid. I mean, you never know, but be safe.
I would, you know, like, I've got 3 open house weekends, so.
You could even post it in the Facebook group that you're doing open houses there or whatnot. I said you could even post it in the Facebook group to let everyone, like even just.
Let everyone know where you are, yeah.
Yeah.
We always have a safe house.
Or you can even too, like what I do a lot of times is I'll have another agent just come with me because a lot of times, and then if we get somebody, we'll like split it or whatever, you know, just because also too, I'm like bored sitting in here by myself.
Yeah.
So, or if I can get the lender, you know, if I can get a lender to go, then.
Well, thank you guys so much for coming. I'm glad you enjoyed it. We've got so much more coming your way. We've got a lot of classes that are hopefully from these classes, you can walk away with something, implement it in your business goal. So it's not just that you're taking notes. We hope that you're able to take this information and use it. So, thanks again.